Oh my gosh, coaches, stop calling what this player is doing an early racket drop because it has nothing to do with the racket and everything to do with a late leg drive due to a toss that is too high. Now, this video is courtesy of J Tennis on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to their awesome channel. I've put their link in the description below. Okay, so first, let's discuss what is an early racket drop, why you don't want it, and then finally, how to fix it. All right, so an early racket drop refers to where the racket is when your legs begin exploding up. So let's look at this player. When do his legs begin exploding up? We can look at his hat to kind of, check this out. So right about there, I would say, is when his hat begins exploding up, which tells us that he's pushing down against the ground. Notice his racket is behind his head. Well, there are only three places your racket can be at this moment. Your racket can be in front of your head, over your head, or behind your head. These first two are just fine. You can use either one. But this is not what you want. You don't want the racket behind your head, again, called an early racket drop because coaches complain that the racket is dropping too early before the legs explode up. But that's blaming the wrong thing, and I'll explain in a second. But why don't you want to do this? It's because you want to have the most efficient use of your legs possible. The purpose of the leg drive up is to counter the direction the racket's going. Notice in this video that the racket's going down when the body is going up. See that? See how the body is going the opposite direction compared to the arm? I really should say the racket itself. So notice his racket is up by the net from our view, and now the racket is down in no man's land just behind the service line, again, from the camera's view. That's what you want. But if your racket begins dropping in the back before your body goes up, it doesn't maximize the amount of stretch that you can get from your shoulder, and you won't hit as big a serve. Now, how do you fix this? You lower your toss. It is not an early racket drop. It is a late leg drive due to a high toss. Let's compare his serve to PlayYourCourt. All right, so let's look where his racket is when his body begins exploding up. So let's put a line right above his head right now. That's where his head is. And so he goes down to that line. And now let's see when his head pops up above that yellow line, meaning he's exploding up, and where his racket is. So his racket is right over his head. This is the same as Osaka, Serena, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, John Isner, the racket being right over the head, which is fine. Remember, there are three places the racket can be. It can be before you hit your party hat, the birthday hat that's on your head. It can be as you hit the party hat, which is what PlayYourCourt's doing, or you can be after, which is what this player is doing. All right, let's look at Ben Shelton. Let's see where his racket is when he begins exploding up. So right there, he's at his lowest point. We just put a line. I love looking at the hats of the players because it really tells the story. Notice his hat is popping up above that yellow line, which means he's pushing down against the ground. The body's exploding up. Notice it is before he hits the party hat. Like right there, his racket's in over his head, but he's already gone up about a foot. He's already gone up with his head about 12 inches right there. So he's really exploding up with his body before he hits the birthday hat. So we've got PlayYourCourt above the head, Shelton before he hits the birthday hat, and both of those are fine. Now, why is this happening with this player in white? It's because his toss is too high. Let's look at his toss timing compared to the pros. So you've got Shelton and this player. They both have the ball near the top of the head. So we can put a timer down and see what their toss timing is. Let's do Shelton first. We put a timer down, and what we want to see is that his timing is somewhere between 0.6 and 0.9 seconds from this moment until contact. So there's the timer. Let's run the timer. He should be somewhere between 0.6 and 0.9 seconds. And there's the contact. Look at that. Smack dab in the middle. 0.76, right? 0.75 would be directly in the middle, right? So we got 0.76 seconds. That's perfect. Now let's compare that to the college player, again, who supposedly has an early racket drop. So let's keep going. And we keep going. And we keep going. And finally, and by the way, they're both hitting topspin serve, so I'm sure someone noticed that, and they're like, oh, well, Shelton, is Shelton hitting a topspin serve just like the college player? Yes. So here's what's happening. Because the college player's toss is so high that it takes him forever then, and correctly, I guess you could say, for him to bring his back foot up. In fact, if you watch, you don't just time the toss, you also time the foot. Let's put a timer down, and let's see from this moment where the ball is at the top of the head, how long it takes for his back foot to come up. Like right there, look at that, 0.27. Let's look at the college player, how long it takes for him to bring his back foot up. And it's directly related to the height of the toss, by the way. So let's keep going. Holy smokes. And then his foot finally hits the ground. 0.86, it took him longer to bring the back foot up than it did for Shelton to even hit the ball. Because remember, his toss timing was 0.76. If this player wants to hit a better serve, he simply needs to toss lower. And the way you toss lower is to toss slower. When you toss slower, the ball doesn't go as high. And then he'll be forced to bring his back foot up sooner, so that by the time his back foot hits the ground, his racket will be right here at this moment. In fact, let's actually do that timer. So right there, let's put a timer down and let's see where his racket is. So right there, that's pretty good. Like 0.55, that would be fine, right? That's fine. And then what ends up happening is then his body, because his back foot will have already come up, now his body can begin exploding up at this moment before he hits the birthday hat. Which is what Shelton does right here. That's how you maximize your racket speed and you have the most efficient leg drive. And for context, let's put the ball at the top of PlayYourCourt's head and let's run the timer for him as well to see his toss timing. 0.65. Wow. So understand something. He is giving himself a tenth of a second, and it's a little over a tenth of a second, less time than Shelton. So this is how some of these players are serving so fast, right? Speed is distance over time. They're not giving themselves a lot of time, so they have to move the racket in such a short amount of time. If you toss the ball up to the moon, I mean, heck, you might have 30 minutes to waste. So of course your racket's going to have an early racket drop. You got 30 minutes to waste. If you toss low, that means you give yourself less time. And for PlayYourCourt, he only gives himself 0.65 seconds, which, by the way, is the same toss timing as J.J. Wolf. Such a short amount of time. This is why these players have such quick actions. They've got to swing so fast. This is how they're able to hit the sweet spot. Because, look, that ball barely drops. And you can see it drops less than Shelton's. So his drops maybe 8 inches, where Shelton's drop maybe 12 inches. And why? Because he gives himself less time by tossing a little bit lower. The key to having the proper timing of the racket drop compared to your legs is all about the toss timing. Toss lower to force yourself to spring up with your legs sooner, and you'll do it when the racket's before the birthday hat or as, not after you've hit the birthday hat. This is how you hit your biggest serves, simply by lowering the toss.
So if you're a singles player and you're really frustrated with your strategy because you keep losing to opponents you feel you should be able to beat, like a pusher, then check out the Singles Playbook, where they teach you how to beat the 7 most common playing styles in recreational tennis. How to beat the pusher, counterpuncher, aggressive baseliner, serve and volleyer, Dr. Feelgood. Those are those slice and dicers, those really annoying players who put all that spin on the ball. I hate playing those players. All court players and southpaws. See, this is over 50 pages of strategy after strategy, and each page comes with a QR code. You just put your phone or tablet up over that code and up pops a video teaching you exactly how to use these strategies. So if you want to play to your strengths while exposing your opponent's weaknesses all while avoiding common errors, then you gotta check out the Singles Playbook. You can do so by clicking the link on the screen right now.
Now, before I share that link with you, if you would love to find local practice partners who are in your area, who would love to work on the ideas you're learning here on 2 Minute Tennis on YouTube, or maybe you want to find a database of players close to you who are really strong and could really challenge you, both singles and doubles opponents, or maybe you want to find coaches who are close to you who can help you with your game, then check out PlayYourCourt. It's a database of players and coaches who are in your local area, who you can contact and start playing and having playing against and having more fun with, taking lessons to improve your game. Check out PlayYourCourt. I have put the link in the description. I'm also going to pin it in the first comment. So click right there to check out the singles playbook so you can start winning more matches. Work on your serve. Simply toss lower than you normally do by tossing slower, and there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2MinuteTennis.net. You got this.